like 2 miles from you, or not even 1.
Jazz and I end up seeing each other at the same coffee shop like every weekend.
Which I miss running into you.
I know. Okay, we are on. So go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Anne-Marie, so much for having me. It is such a blessing to connect with all of you. Whew. I literally am like, right when I got on, I'm like so emotional already. I am so grateful to connect with you and to be a part of this community. Like, how has everyone been experiencing Entrepinayship Day? I just want to kind of get some feedback in the chat box. Like, what's one of the biggest takeaways that you've received today? And from this community and from the knowledge that's being shared, I think it's really important to continue to reflect on like all that we're getting. So I'd love to hear in the chat box before we get started, just like what you've been getting from this community and from the other workshops. Just I'm very interactive as well too. So this is a flowing conversation where you're going to learn, where you're going to show up. I'm going to test you. I'm going to ask questions. And I want to hear from you. So I hear empowering, encouraging, inspiring. Elisa, hi, what's up, Elisa? My big takeaway, there's so much talent. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. So much talent in this community. I'm so honored to be an entrepreneur and to know all of you beautiful women. So talented. There's so many amazing Pinays doing so much work. Yes, absolutely, Carissa. And there's an uplifting community out there that genuinely want to help us thrive. It's so true. It's so true. And Lourdes getting emotional too. Yeah, there was a joke, I forgot where it was. We all say it all the time, but every time we get together, like we just all cry. Like that's what entrepreneurship is. We just get together and cry. We cry because we're so talented, right? Which is a very valid reason to come together and to cry. So I just want to thank everyone here for your precious time, for the input, the energy that you are bringing to the table, whether you've come here for the first time and you're kind of peeping in and on looking into this beautiful community, or whether you've been here since we've started. I just want to thank you for your precious time, because it's valuable. You are valuable, and this is really here as an exchange pod. So today I'm going to be sharing how to launch your video brand. I am so passionate about the power of video and the power of this really beautiful, sometimes often weird sixth dimension of the internet that we all acknowledge as a vehicle to connect. And when we can use this powerful vehicle of video, not only for our voice, for our stories, but for the gifts that we have to share, and actually be willing to share and exchange, not just share information, but exchange money, everyone benefits. So I am going to be sharing here how to launch your video brand. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story, why video, why healers, artists, and coaches, I believe, and I know, and have seen and witnessed and taken a part of, can make a ton of beautiful money in any economy. And so I want to hear from you out there, how many of you in particular are healers, artists, or coaches? Go ahead and just type in the chat box if you identify with any of those. Just drop it there. I know we have a ton of you guys out there, so I want to see it. We have a copywriting coach, career and business coach, artist, awesome. Artists looking to get into more healing endeavors, floral design artist, teaching artist, pediatric PT, starting to teach Tai Chi and meditation, and then service consultant. Yes, awesome. So as you can see, we all have something so, so valuable to offer. And I really believe that these times that we're going through right now, where many, many, many doors have been closed, is really a beautiful opportunity. When one door closes, another door is looking to be open. And I feel so privileged to have been on this path of growing an online business. I've had a number of online businesses, but most recently, in the last 4 years, have grown a coaching business, an online course business, and a consulting business, all online. And so it is really my honor and my pleasure to share. I work for a connected fitness company called Fight Camp, and I'm going to share a little bit about my story of how I got here today. But it is just so awesome when you have, or because I've been so active in creating content online, I really have felt this privilege to be able to navigate and go into different parts of my career, pretty much, as I've chosen. And so when I saw this opportunity to connect and to share, I was like, I have to take it. I have to share all the different experiences that I've had online, growing different businesses, whether it's for my own business or for a larger company now that I'm working with, or whether it's consulting. There's so many different avenues that I've been a part of. And I also want to open up to questions at the end. So let me just jump right into it. So I shared a little bit about my story. I've been working in creating video online for about 10 years now. I first started, I was actually working, doing video production for the OC Register back when I was in college 10 years ago. And then I started working for a small business, doing YouTube strategy. And that was like 10 years ago before, I mean, YouTube is big, but it wasn't nearly what it is today. And from there, just kept working for other different companies, and eventually got into beauty and health, working in social media and video strategy for a brand called Tony and Guy. And then I actually left that company and went on my own, started my own YouTube channel, starting my own business. I fell on my face pretty much, and had to go back to the corporate world and started working at Beachbody. And it was at Beachbody that I really learned how to build a business online and be a successful online coach. And so I ended up getting let go from Beachbody about 4 years ago, which is kind of what pushed me into making being a coach online work for me financially full time. And so I went into that, sharing and helping small businesses build their video brand. And let me tell you, right off the bat, in that venture, I really struggled to have the confidence to know what to sell online. How many of you guys are struggling right now to know what to sell online? Even if like you have a service, it's like putting together that product is a struggle. Let me know in the comments below if you feel like the program that you have, or maybe it's an online course that you're thinking of, or maybe you do one-off sessions. Let me know in the comments here. Has that been a struggle for you? Where are you right now with that product creation? So, I'm seeing yes, like you guys have struggled to some extent. That was a really huge struggle for me because I decided that I wanted to do it full time right away. And I was jumping into this online space, like pretty much needing to make 6 figures out the gate, because that was the range that I was coming from in, the business or the 9-to-5 job that I was at. So I felt a lot of pressure. I was like constantly beating myself up because like I was never making enough. And so I'm seeing yes, narrowing down my offer. Yes, steps are unclear, but I still don't know how. But I know I have so much to offer. So I'm so glad that I'm here to be able to shed light on this as well, because there are so many different business models that you can have, even when it comes to offering video, offering your story, offering your expertise. And so I want to share with you what's been the most sustainable for me. So when I first started, I wanted to do online courses right away, because I was like, I felt more comfortable teaching than coaching or mentoring. In fact, I did not want to coach or mentor at all, because I was scared. I didn't think I could do it. And I just wanted to create online courses. So I put a lot of money into learning how to make online courses. And I spent a lot of money trying to make my online course. Today, I'm so proud. I have 6 online courses. And that is a great, that's one way to make money online for sure. I will say though, because I want to share with you, what my experience has been and what has really empowered me to build a sustainable business online using video, is to start with a one-on-one model. And what that looks like is creating what I call a soul offering, which is your highest, most potent, heartfelt way to serve an individual. And when you create an offering around a one-on-one experience versus an online course that many people can purchase online just through your website, or whether you do it over like a group program when people are like pay together to be in a group that's led by you. When you start with a one-on-one experience, what that really allows you to do is it allows you to, first of all, get really clear on what you're really good at, and to vocalize and communicate and market what your most valuable offering is. So what that it does is really puts your communication and your marketing skills to the highest level. It really helps refine that messaging that's so important to sell anything. And then the second thing is it makes you sustainable, right? You don't have to have so many people purchase a certain product from you for you to be sustainable. You really just need a few people at a higher ticket where you're serving and you're offering so much more for you to sustain your business. And this is how I was really able to sustain my lifestyle as a coach. And it took it took a willingness to be that imperfect coach and mentor. And I think that's truly where the reward comes from too, is like, you really have to get out of your own way and put yourself on a limb to serve with such an open heart, with such vulnerability, that that exchange, because it's at a higher level too, that it's worth it. It's worth it for you, and it's worth it for your ideal client. So we're gonna that's the first thing here, is that we just went over here the different business models for video. There's online courses, there's group programs, and then there's the one-on-one. And I really recommend starting with the one-on-one first, and working your way up to a group program and then into online courses. Because when you do that, you're just focused on one person at a time, which is what I recommend in building anything in business. It's one person, the biggest impact, one at a time. Whether you're building this coaching business or whether you are building your brand on video, serving that one person at a time is going to give you, first of all, the intimacy that's needed to serve your ideal client. And that one person is a reflection of all the other ideal clients out there who are looking for you. So I'm looking at my notes here. So why video? I think that I'm not going to spend too much time in this, because I think everyone here knows the power of video, or else you wouldn't be here watching how to launch your video brand. But video, just to drop some really powerful statistics, and this was all before everything that happened with COVID-19. But this last year, 2020, more than 80% of all online consumption is strictly video. So that's really powerful, because while there's always going to be photos online, the majority of content that's consumed is video. And that means that if you're spending time, taking all these photos, whether it's for your website or whether it's for social media, and you're like spending all this time on copy, and you're throwing it up there, you're not getting the response that you want, which is what was happening to me so much. How many of you guys have been like so just like frustrated and have just felt like you poured so much time and energy into social media and creating content and photos and not gotten back any sort of significant response that you feel is worth the time and effort that you've put? Please let me know in the comments below, because you're not alone. There are still days where I'm like, where I want to just post a picture. And again, there's nothing wrong with posting pictures. I'm just letting you know here that when you're willing to do video, your efforts are going to go a lot farther, and you're probably going to be putting in just as much effort. There's always, everyone has different things that they're good at. And let me tell you, video is not something, like being in front of the camera was not something that I was good at when I first started my business. I hired coaches. I worked with so many different experts to be able to feel confident today to show up in video. And my desire and hope is that you don't have to hire all the experts that I did and spend all the money that I did to have that confidence to get in front of the camera, to share your heart, to share your story, share your expertise, and exchange some real money online, because I know that you can do it. And I know that I can help shorten that path for you. So let me know if you've gotten something already from this. I am all about like this exchange. I'm not so much the kind of instructor who's just like, I just want to like talk to directly. I want to hear what you guys are getting so that I can continue to craft this exchange to really benefit you the most, and so that it's really personal to you. And again, we will have some sort of Q&A at the end here. But just to recap so far what we've gone over, I shared a little bit about my story. I'm always going to continue to share about my story here, but also why video. There's so many powerful statistics, but one of them is that more than 80% of all video, of all content consumed online is video. And on top of that, the internet population is still growing. I know that it's kind of hard to think or perceive that sometimes, because fortunately all of us here have internet. We've probably experienced the internet for several years now, but the reality is there's still a ton of people who are just getting the internet for the first time. And I think one of the statistics that really got me to like push myself into video and online business was that in the year 2020, there will be 23 million more Americans with access to the internet. And that's not like babies, that's people like us who just maybe didn't have access before. Maybe they live in an area where there wasn't reception. So there are always more people who are gaining access and then now searching for answers to the questions that they have, to the pain that they're looking to heal and resolve. And so this is really the truth, and what continues to inspire me to stay online and to stay creating is that there are people out there right now who are literally searching for you. And so I don't want to get too much into platforms, but I do want to say that YouTube is the platform that I find to be the most impactful when it comes to business. And the reason why is because it's a search engine, and Instagram's actually trying to become a search engine right now, and they're creating different ways to make it more searchable. But the reason why I think that YouTube is the best for business is because it's a search engine, and because the content that you create on it continues to live there forever with the possibility that people who are searching can find it. And there's so many they give you so many more ways and opportunities to own your content and to get it found than any other platform. And the other thing on top of that is they not only give you more ways to be seen, they have a ton of more resources to support businesses and creators on the platform as well. You don't really see, actually you do not see Facebook or Instagram giving courses on how to get seen on Instagram. That's just not something they do because that's not a part of their business philosophy. However, on YouTube specifically has a YouTube course creators channel. They're always hosting events. Like they want their creators to grow and understand how to leverage the platform. And so that's the reason why I know that YouTube will always be around and it will always be a platform in which business owners and brands will thrive. So I want to give you the 4 keys to aligning your first high ticket client online. And when I say high ticket client online, I mean someone who is your ideal soulmate client, someone who is super excited to give you money right now because they're in such deep pain, because they're in such deep confusion, because maybe they just need some help and they got money in the bank and they want to give it to someone who can help them, right? I think it's important to remind you that and to remind myself that is that there is money everywhere. There is money everywhere, even in times right now where it feels like everyone's losing their job. There's no opportunities, all of these things that we hear on the news. And I want to let you know there is money everywhere. That's literally a fact. They are always printing more money. There's no shortage of money. There's no end point in which money will be gone. Money is actually something that we've all created. So because we've created it, it's something that we can circulate and generate more of. I'm not saying that this whole process is going to, be easy, but it is the greatest opportunity for growth. And I'm so excited to share that and to reflect, because you have something so valuable that you were meant to share on this planet, and you were meant to exchange money for it. I was just thinking the other day, because I'm actually I'm in an alpha shred challenge. So 20 days ago, I decided I really wanted to get ripped. And that's a whole other story. But basically, I'm in this challenge. I've invested in this challenge, and there's cash on the line, $4,000 to be exact. And I've invested in private training and all this stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I really don't understand this macro stuff. I think I need to just hire a coach to just help me with this macro stuff. And I'm still thinking, because I'm I already have private training online that I invested in these other things. But I just want to share that personal experience, because there's always someone out there who is looking for that very specific help. And so that's what I want us to look into as well, is what is your very specific way that you can help people online, or that you do help people with online. Because the key to really launching your video brand, to being that iconic voice that that you are, is telling your story exactly to your ideal client, and that is one person. And what this is really going into here is the riches are in the niches, is what I hear people say all the time. And niching or niching, is maybe a word that you've heard before out there, but what does it really mean? To me, niching is so powerful, and it's really the first step to launching your video brand. And what niching really is to me is owning what you want to be known for, and creating a very powerful distinction between what you do and how you do it versus how other people and how they do it. And that big distinction there is telling your story day to day. So when it comes to like niching and stuff, right, there's different forms that it can take. There's like the Instagram bio, right? It's like that, like, I don't know how many words you can have in it, but like 15-word sentence that sometimes can take like so much space in your mind. It's like, oh my God, what do I put in my Instagram bio, right? It isn't the end of the world when it comes to niching, because you always have the opportunity to tell your story. However, that, you know, how people perceive you in those first 15 seconds or first initial viewpoint is really important. So I want to give you a little one thing when it comes to niching is you always want to be able to solve a problem within your within your title to a specific audience. So I will share more about that. I share a lot about that on my Instagram if you want to check it out. I don't want to go too deep into that, but for example, oh wait, I don't want to get off topic here because we have a lot to cover. And we were going over the 4 keys to aligning your first high ticket client. So the first point here to aligning your first high ticket client is to survey. So I want to take a survey here. How many of you guys have actually surveyed in the last 7 days? How many of you guys have either thrown up a poll online, you know, called up certain ideal friends or clients who might need your services, maybe sent out an email? Let me know yes or no in the comments. You can say I have surveyed in the last 7 days, or I have not surveyed in the last 7 days. Okay, cool. We have a lot of yeses. Great. Okay, cool. Okay, great. All right, you all know. Okay, so the first step here to aligning your first high ticket client is to survey. And this is something that I see a lot of small businesses, including my own when I first started, that I just like never heard of in terms of surveying, or maybe I did know about surveying, but I didn't know how to run a good survey, and I didn't really know what to do with that survey. And so I want to give you a few expert pointers when it comes to surveying and how you can actually really use that to launch your video brand right now. So for those of you who did survey, we're going to go over how to best use that for video. For those of you who have not surveyed yet, I have a challenge to you to do a poll or survey. And in this poll and survey, there's so many different ways you can do it. You can do it on Google Forms and send it out. You can do a simple poll on Facebook. You can poll people in your Instagram stories. But bottom line, you want to understand what people are struggling with right now specifically. And the more specific answers you can get from them, the better. So you want to know what they're struggling with, what's keeping them up at night. You know, what are they searching online? So these are some questions that you can actually use. What was something that you searched for in the last 7 days online, looking to, and if you were, let's say you're a health coach, for example. So what was the last thing that you searched on Google in regards to improving your health? So these are the questions that are going to give you specific answers that are going to help you to launch your video brand. And so you're going to take these answers, and I always do this with my clients, like that's the first assignment. Survey 50 people. And if you've done a survey right now, for all of you guys out there who did do a survey, if you let me know here if you had a sample size of 50 people, and drop that below. I like to have that as the baseline for any sort of idea that I launch, any sort of program that I launch. I want to make sure that I have 50 different answers from people. And that's actually a pretty standard thing in like the startup world, is like 50 to 100 sample size. And, you know, the reason why I bring this to you as small businesses, or as, you know, entrepreneurs who maybe you don't have a small business, maybe you have a bigger business, but 50 is enough feedback that you can really start to see what there is a demand for out there. So if you don't have 50, I really encourage you to take on that challenge and to get 50 surveys back and have fun doing it, because really all surveying is really being curious. So my computer is dying, so I'm just going to grab my thing really quickly. Okay. So, so what you're going to do with this survey when you get it back to launch your video brand is you're going to take the answers to the survey and you're going to create content. Okay, so you're gonna use it to create content to basically survey some more online to learn more about your ideal client and what it is that you have to offer, and then you're going to take that feedback and you're going to build your program. So we're going to put the creating content on pause, because the second step after surveying is to build your soul offering, to build your one-on-one highest, most potent, heartfelt way to serve an individual. And the reason, again, why we go into creating the one-on-one offering is because when you create anything, whether it's an online course or a group program, you're going to put a lot of time and energy into it. And when you do it with a one-on-one opportunity, you have a greater opportunity to be sustainable, to exchange more money, and to add higher value. So it's the difference between spending, let's say, 100 hours creating an online course that you put on your website for maybe $50, and then you need, let's say, you need $3,000 to sustain your business that month, and that would be, you'd have to sell 60 online courses every single month in order to make that $3,000. And then if you were to take 100 hours to create a one-on-one program, and it's, it has a lot more than the online course, and you're actually like putting in your personal time to mentor someone, not just teach them, but to mentor them, to show up for them, and to be in it with them, to actually get results with them. You can exchange a lot more money than just teaching. You can exchange a lot more for mentoring and coaching, because what you're exchanging for and what the end result is not just learning, but it's results. And so if you take 100 hours and you put into the one-on-one, and you just land one client, let's say for like 3 months, it's 3K. Then you only need 3 clients instead of 60 to hit that 3K mark. And this is really basic math, but it's really powerful when you see what's possible and you see like how much time you're investing in your business. So you're going to take that survey and you're going to build this one-on-one offering. And within this one-on-one offering, there are steps to creating this one-on-one offering and making it sustainable. And the first place to invest the time in is actually not actually building out what this person's going to be doing month to month or week to week with you, but it's actually creating the container, is creating what does this look like actually working with this person one-on-one. And the central marketing piece that's necessary is actually not a website. How many of you guys think that? I guess I should have asked before. But I used to think that when I first started, I was like, I need a website. I need to get a website up there, and it needs to have my one-on-one offering on it. But I learned after hiring a coach and working with experts that wasn't, and falling on my face, that wasn't actually the most important thing, was creating a website. It's actually having it on a very basic PDF form, right? Which I think is so exciting, because everyone can create a PDF pretty much. You don't need any sort of fancy software, especially these days with Canva. If you've never used Canva before to create a presentation or anything for social, look up that resource right now. It's Canva. It helps you design stuff online really simply. So the first piece of content that you want to create for this one-on-one offering is a simple PDF form. And the reason why, and this is not something that even lives online, and you're like, what, why, like this needs to live online first. Eventually parts of it will live online, but the reason why I start with this PDF is because this is basically the invitation that people get invited to offline. So all the content that's online that you should be showcasing is the value added that your program your program resolves. So there are problems that your program resolves. There are answers that your program there are questions that your program answers, and that's the content that is outward facing online. The actual program lives on a PDF when you invite someone who has experienced your content online and has actually asked you, oh my gosh, like, I hear that you have a one-on-one program. I want to know what that looks like. And then you invite them into a call with you to learn if it's a right fit to work together. And that is what I call a discovery call. You can call it whatever you want, but basically this is a call, a conversation that you get to have where you get to learn about this potential client. You get to learn what her struggles are, what she's dealing with, what she really wants to create in her life or heal in her life, and then give her an opportunity to ask you more questions about working with you. And that's when you have this PDF that you pull out and you're like, well, this is actually how I work with people, and I would love to invite you to this. And then you walk them through that. If everything's online, then there's no reason for them to have that in-depth conversation with you. And let me just give you some really invaluable like sales psychology here and statistics when it comes to buying things online. About 80% of people do not spend or purchase anything over $1,000 off of a website. And if they do, the sales cycle for it is like anywhere from 6 to 10 months. And this is information that I've received and collected from an article that I read, but also just from startup knowledge. I work for a startup right now, and the sales cycle for a larger ticket item is typically, and it totally depends on what business you have, but anywhere from 6 months to a year. But what I have to offer here and say is that it's absolutely possible to shorten that sales cycle, to add immense value and add intimacy online, creating these conversations with people who need you, who already know that they want to work with you. And instead of giving them all the information online about your program, to actually give them the opportunity to experience you in an in-depth conversation where they can have a powerful experience, and then ask you for more information about what that looks like, where you will be able to present it to them on a PDF form. And this is what I have done to not only grow my coaching business, but to hit multiple 5 figures within a year, 5-figure months within a year, and also have helped my clients to hit that as well. And it really is so powerful to know that you don't have to be some like crazy web developer in order to create a really impactful program that people are looking for. So I have a course called Soul Offering on my website, and that goes deeper into how to actually build that soul offering. But I wanted to give you those pieces because I know that when I was starting, I was doing everything so backwards and spending so much time just like stressing out about having a website when that wasn't even what was going to be effective for me, and wasn't effective for me. What was effective for me was actually creating and crafting this piece offline and creating content online that actually basically created a funnel for people to inquire and ask about my program. So it doesn't mean that I didn't talk about my program. It just means that not all the information about my program was online, and I was never directing people really to my website for that. If I was, it was more of a general, like, you can check out my website for more resources, but all of the talking about my program is typically, in these conversations, in these discovery calls. There are places for that to live online, especially if you're in a launch phase and you have about like, a week out from your opportunity is going to, come to an end, or you're like maxed out on clients or whatever. That's when you can start talking more about the pieces of your program online. But for the most part, really sharing, sharing valuable information, answering people's questions, and then letting people know you have a program, and that if they're interested in learning more, to talk to you, to DM you, to have an experience, a conversation, to see if it's a right fit, is really the kind of intimacy and connection that people are looking for, especially in these days. They're getting thrown a lot of free stuff. There's so many opportunities, directing them here and there, but very not as frequently are they being offered to actually communicate and have an intimate conversation with someone who can really help them. So that's one of the other reasons why I'm really passionate about this particular model, especially for everyone on this call. So Carissa says, what about your social proof? Yeah, absolutely. I think what you're saying and asking here is sharing your social proof and how you've helped people. So that actually brings us into number 3, which is perfect because, we have limited time here. So when I was talking about like not where your program lives, I just mean like the actual point of sale. The actual point of sale, I believe, is strongest in an invitation, in a personal conversation, if it's a one-on-one opportunity. So everything else, you can share online. It's just more of like the point of sale. They're having everything directed into a conversation with you is where you're going to see the most impact. And that brings me into step 3 to aligning your high ticket client here, is to create value-driven video content. Whether this is video posts, live videos, so powerful. And I want to share with you here, looking at my notes here, my video content process that organically leads to sales. So Carissa says, yeah, what about social proof? I'm just starting to move my practice online. So that's where I feel overwhelmed about creating social proof. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about, let me know what you're talking about as far as creating social proof. You mean like you're talking about like proof of like working with people online? Because if you don't have social proof of your work, there's always a way to create social proof, because there's always someone out there who has experienced your work, your friendship, your story. You've made an impact one way or another. And if you haven't, a good place to start is to ask someone who you love and care for that reflection. Just ask them, hey, how have I impacted your life? What have I done? I'm really searching for a reflection here. What have I done in my career, in my business, in my life, that have actually helped or impacted another person? And you can take any of those stories and share that online. There's always a way to do that. And it could be as easy as telling a story about how you've worked with someone, even better if you can have them online. So she says, yeah, I've been offline and referral. So if you have been offline, drop a comment here and let me know. If you've been offline, you haven't really been online, and you're worried about moving everything online right now, just let me know so we can all see, who's in that same bucket. And I want to let you know that if that's you, you're not alone. There's so many experts out there right now who have, who've just had a physical practice and are now going online. And this is actually the most prime market and time to go online, because there's so much compassion and empathy for all the physical businesses. There are people out there who are searching to support you and actually have their their problems solved, their mentorship. They're looking for you specifically right now. So so I want to get into these content pieces because I know it's going to answer your question, Carissa, and a lot of people's questions. So when it comes to creating content online, how many of you guys feel like it's so much work? I know that I used to feel that way. There are still days that I feel that way. And what I like to think about it as, it's just like working out, like it is building a muscle. And when you toss out that expectation of, looking like every other influencer or content creator or Marie Forleo out there, that's when you actually can start to step into something so powerful in your brand and step into service. I struggle with it all the time, but creating content is a muscle that I've been building for 10 years. So the first thing that I have to say about creating content is to take it one day at a time, to stop comparing yourself, even though it's something we all do. It is so unfair to compare your content to, let's say, Marie Forleo or me or anyone else out there, because you never know how much goes on behind the scenes to put up a video that looks just user generated or whatever. It's really fascinating, actually. The company that I work for right now, I'm producing all their YouTube content, and I'm like, people probably have no idea that we spent 1,000 hours on this 3-minute video that looks user generated because it's supposed to look like that. But the point here is, don't compare yourself. Everyone's at different stages. And so when it comes to creating content, I want to give you my process here for creating content so that it can be so much easier and simpler for you. So what I do here is, there are 6 buckets that I basically bring the viewer through a purchase cycle. So a purchase cycle is, all businesses have it, but basically it's like the points in which people experience you or a brand in order to come to the point of sale and come to the point of feeling and knowing that, oh my God, I want to work with Carissa right now. So the first piece of content, and these are buckets, and I like to use Post-it notes. So perfect that I have them here right now. And in my big ass vision board behind here. But basically, I write down these content buckets, and I want you guys all to write this down with me. The very first one is personal story. So I'm going to write personal story. So this is the first content bucket that you're going to create. Oh, you can't really see it, it's so far away. Wow. Okay, sorry. I thought you could be able to see it. Basically, personal story is the first one. The reason why I'm putting it on the wall is because this is actually what I like to do, so that I can move around pieces of content. So in this content bucket, you're going to talk all about your personal story. And when I say your personal story, this is how it relates to what it is that you have to offer. So if you are a therapist and you're moving your business to online, you're going to be sharing your personal stories of the things that you overcame. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. So it's kind of backwards because it's not mirrored, but personal story is the first one. So in this content bucket, you're going to be talking about your own personal stories, the things that you have overcome in your life in relation to how you help people. So if you're a health coach, you're going to be talking about, the different experiences that you had that led you to becoming a health coach. Maybe you were fighting through cancer and you were constantly given all of these medications that were numbing your system, and you wanted to find another way to heal your body. And so you started to eat a vegan diet and take herbs. And these are the stories that you tell within personal story. The great thing about this is for all these content buckets, there's never an end point, right? if you have a personal story, you're going to want to say this story over and over and over again, because it's not enough to say it once. In fact, it's only when you start to feel like, oh my God, I've said this a million freaking times, I'm a broken record, people think I'm like, people like probably are so tired of this story. That's actually when people are actually starting to hear you. Let me tell you, I've been through this so many times where I'm like, I've told this story a million times, but it's only in that point when I started to have people say like, oh, you know what, I remember you told me this one story, and it was like, oh, really? I said that a million times, but it took it. That's what it takes. That's honestly what it takes. So personal story. The second one is education. So this one's probably one that everyone's pretty familiar with, but it's the teaching, it's the tutorial, it's how to do something specific. And the way I like to really distinguish this education is like, you want to share within your industry, and you want to share, you know, how to do something specific. So this is where you're going to take those survey answers that you get, and you're actually going to use the phrases that these people are responding to you with, and you're going to put it in your title. So if you said like, what are you struggling with right now? And someone responds, I'm trying to think of something specific. Oh, let's see, for me. Okay, I'm struggling to understand how macros can help me burn fat and build muscle. Then that's going to be your content topic. How to count your macros to burn fat and build muscle. So that's education. I don't want to go too deep into each of them because we're running out of time. But the third one is authority. So authority, I also like to call reasoning, but basically in this video content bucket, you're going to talk about why. Why is it so important for your ideal client to do or learn or be like a specific thing within how you help people. It's also like reasoning. So an example of a title would be like, why it's important to meditate. Why it's important to meditate before you start working from home, something like that. So this is like the reason why. This is how you position yourself as an authority. Because you've told the story, your personal story. This is like the humanizing part. You are educating, and now you're telling them why. Why is it important? And there's so many different topics, right, for each of these. So what I'm gonna do is, as you're learning this, I want you to think of ideas for your videos in these categories, and just drop them in the comments below. If you do, I can read them back and I can give you feedback on them. So authority is the third one. The fourth one is personal process or methodology. So it's like, what is your process, your specific process of how you do what it is that you do? How is it different than other people? So for example, this is my process of content creation. So right now, I'm actually telling you this segment here is within this fourth bucket of process or method. So, if you're a health coach, you would be sharing what your process is, your specific process for meal prepping, let's say, or for cleansing. So it's like the title of the video is how I cleanse during allergy season, or what's in the cleanse that I do every quarter or whatever. So that's the fourth one. The fifth one, so we have personal story, education, authority, process, and method. The fifth one is social proof. So social proof or testimony. So social proof or testimony is where you get to talk about how you've helped other people. So you can be in it telling everyone how you've helped people. You can have someone on it that you've helped, but we all have social proof. And I told you earlier in the thing how to do that. If you don't know how to find social proof, then you can ask a friend for that reflection. So social proof. And it can be as casual as telling a story about a client that you've helped. Okay. So the last one we have is motivate to action. So I'm just going to finish this one up. Thank you, Anne-Marie. I'm going to finish this last one up. I'm sorry we don't have enough time for Q&A, but before we do this last one, I'd love to just see in the comments how many of you guys have found this helpful today. How many of you guys feel much more confident in launching your video brand, really owning your story, your value, your one-on-one program, and the money that's out there to exchange. Great, thank you. So the last one is motivate to action. So this is where you get to not just motivate people, but you call them to a higher action. They have gone through this experience with you. They've learned about you, that you've learned something about the industry. They learned why, they learned your process, they learned how you've impacted people. And now it's time to keep them accountable and say, if you've gotten anything out of this, if you have, if you've resolved any of your problems through any of this content, now's the time to really invest in yourself. Now's the time to know that you deserve to experience the support that I can really guide you with. And that's motivate to action, where you actually get to let them know. And a lot of this is affirming, right? It's affirming, you can do this. It's time to do this, and I'm excited to help you. So I don't want to go over anymore. I am so grateful for all of you to receive this information. I hope that it was helpful for you. If you want to connect with me further online and ask me any questions, I'm always super open to answering them and to supporting you in your journey. If you feel like this was helpful and you want to learn even more about what that looks like working with me, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Life by Jazz. And that is how you get in contact. My email is dream, DREAM, at lifebyjazz.com. And my website right now is down today. I just noticed it wasn't up. But you can email me at Life by Jazz, dream at Life by Jazz, or on Instagram at Life by Jazz. And I also have a ton of videos on YouTube about the same topic, and also visioning. So my channel is Life by Jazz. Thank you again so much. I love you. I love all of what you have to offer. And I just want to let you know that you're so valuable and that you're so deserving. Thank you again, Anne-Marie, for having me. Salamat.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. So I want to thank you all for, some of you have been here since 8 a.m. So thank you so much for being part of this. Just a quick show of hands. You can put in whatever you'd like. How many of you would like to do this again in the future, whether it's next week or sometime down the line? I'd love to know. I'm also going to actually send out a survey and, get an idea of what's been helpful and what you'd like to see more of. Okay, awesome. And then how many of you are joining? And if you're on video, you can just raise your hand. Are you joining tomorrow? We've got a few sessions. Excellent. Okay. So as you know, this is really prompted by Entrepinay Day, which is, again, a reminder of our resilience and our power, our heritage. And I know that once we're done with this call, we're going to go back to whatever is out there, whatever the reality is. And you have a lot of tools that you gain from today. So just make sure to take some time to really process that and take that all in. We will see you tomorrow. I hope that you'll also join the network, the entrepinayships.network community. That's where we can continue these conversations. And of course, Instagram, all of that fun stuff. Just thank you so much for being here, being present, and giving your time. All right, that is it. We're signing off, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much again, Jazz. And I'll see you at the coffee shop at some point.